What up, it's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and you're watching Lights Out.
This is Faisal Khan for Lights Out, proudly sponsored by Spartans Law. Still here at Bournemouth Beach, delighted once again to be joined by Sky Sports' very own Mr. Johnny Nelson, the MVP, the most valuable face of Sky Sports that I like to call him.
Don't say that.
Johnny, been here over a night, how are you finding it?
It's nice. Nah, you know what? Woke up this morning and sun's shining. Spencer went in the sea. I said, Spencer, I'm doing that later. I'm going to get in the sea. So, but it's beautiful. It's like being abroad. It's wicked. Why have they not had shows down here more often? This is ridiculous.
Well, hopefully if Chris Pillam-Smith puts in a good performance on Saturday night, we might get a few more shows down here.
It'd be silly not to. It's just making the most of such a beautiful surroundings.
Johnny, there's before, obviously, as we get into the nitty-gritty of the interview, I remember doing an interview with you a couple of months ago and telling you that I watched a documentary of the Ingles Gym. So there's a few things that I'd like to discuss, if that's all right, with your time in the Ingles Gym. I was watching that documentary and I noticed you had a certain swagger about you. You were rolling about the place, jumping up and down. It seemed to me like you was the guy that carried out all the banter, all the camaraderie. But you was looked up to in that gym because you'd been there for quite a long time before the likes of Naz and the younger fighters come in. What was it like for you being one of the most experienced faces of such a famous gym, the Ingles Gym?
Well, that was because I probably earned my stripes because I was a youngster when before me there was Harold Bomber Graham. You know, if you know your boxing, you know who he was. Brian Anderson, Mick Mills. There was some tough nuts in there. Harold obviously was the original. You know, when it comes to hitting, not being hit. You know, he was. Second, the stories I could tell you there about him being a sparring partner for Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran, and people like that. And so I was a youngster. So what I did, I watched them. You know, I followed them. And so because you see that, Brendan used to say, look, you see what will work for you, you see what won't work for you. You know, and that's how you pick up your character. That's how you pick up who you want to be. One thing I found with Errol, when Errol boxed, he was a bit like, you know, when you see Linford Christie running across the line, he's running, his eyes are open like he's seen a ghost. Harold was like that in the dressing room. He was very quiet, very, you know, very settled down and everything. And like, I'm thinking that's not what it's like in the gym. The gym's buzzing. It's this atmosphere. We're having fun. And so as Errol phased out and he walked away, youngsters like Naz and Cole came in, and then it was just like we could just be as we were in the gym. And we thought this is actually, that produces better results, produces cameos of brilliance, because if you feel like you're really relaxed like you're at home, then you perform better. So we took that to the dressing room. We took that, we probably fight like a dysfunctional family in the gym, but then when we'd get out there to a show, we'd all travel like a pack of dogs. And that's where the fun began, and that's why you kind of formed like a brat pack. But it was good, really good.
Being part of that stable obviously must have been a privilege, because some of the names that have come out of the Ingles Gym, Naseem Hamid, obviously you look at Kell Brook yourself, Harold Graham, as you mentioned, Ryan Rhodes, you know, you could keep, you know, the list is endless, but you were there for the majority of your career. All of your career. Which fighter took you by storm? Which fighter walked into that gym and made you think, you know what, this kid's got it to become the next face of the sport?
Naz, with Naz saw all of the ones before him and all of the ones around him. Took a piece from him, a piece from him, a piece from him. And he was the bravest one to take it out of the gym. So there were many Nazes in the gym, but not many of them could actually perform outside the gym. Like flipping over the ropes. You go in the gym, on the roof, on the ceiling, where the ring is, there's loads of black marks there, because we don't flip over the ring. But nobody was going to do that in a fight in case you fell flat on your ass. Naz was the one that did it publicly. So once you've done it once, you've got to do it all the time. We'd be like sat down saying 20 quid he falls, you know. But that. So he took the gym environment out to the public, and then you realise the public actually like this stuff. They like what's happening inside the gym, and so people felt comfortable to be who they are in the gym outside. But that kind of stuff is just what happens behind closed doors. He just brought it out, opened the door.
Obviously, Naseem Hamid suffered one defeat in his career. That was to Marco Antonio Barrera. Now, we all know Naz parted ways with Brendan Ingle, the late Brendan Ingle at the time. I mean, what was it like around the Ingles Gym when you guys learnt that Naz wouldn't be working with Brendan Ingle for that fight?
The gym wasn't about Naz. Naz was part of the gym, and I think Naz forgot that himself. And my personal opinion was, I think when he left, or when he and Brendan parted company, he thought we'd walk with him. He wanted me to go with him. I ain't going anywhere. I'm all right. You know, this gym was here many years before you, and he'll be here for many years after. So when Naz left, it actually didn't make that much of a difference. You know, he helped put our gym on the map. And people probably gave us more respect in the gym because of his achievements and respect to the method of training. But it didn't make any difference to anyone in the gym. Some guys left but came back. Some guys left and drifted out of the game. I think Naz ended up having a gym that was big enough for 2 people, you know, because I think he thought the gym would walk away with him. But that wasn't the case. Naz wasn't the gym, he was part of the gym, he was part of the gym's history. And he forgot that. And if I'm honest with you, when he boxed Barrera, I couldn't see him losing to Barrera, regardless of he and our relationship, because I knew what Naz was capable of doing. What I'd forgotten was Naz had probably got to the point where he thought he didn't have to do it. He didn't have to work hard because it was, as far as he was, it was a gift from God. It was going to happen. It didn't happen. He realised, you know, you can't be the bus driver, bus ticket inspector, passenger. You've got to concentrate on fighting and that's it. He wants to do everything. And he just found he couldn't. You always need somebody that sees things you don't see, and Brendan was that guy. And if you get Naz on a good day, he'll probably be honest with you and admit that himself. Brendan called it 3 smart. So I can be 2 smart and outsmart you. 3 smart is outsmart myself. And so Naz became 3 smart. And so when he left, yes, it was sad because, you know, it's a family affair. But the gym rolled on, the family still rolled on. And you go in the gym now, it's the same vibe now. You know, everybody's buzzing off one another. Success breeds success. And when you've got one successful fighter, you think, I can do that, I can do that. And it comes in waves. And that's how it is.
One thing that was touched on in that documentary was the ending of your career, the injury that ended your career. I've never really spoken to you, like gone in depth about it with you, but I would like to, if that's all right with you. What was it like for you hearing those words that you'll never be able to box again?
You know what, I remember the day I had the accident. I was sparring. It was a week before the Enzo Macronelli fight, what should have been. In my head, I was going to retire after that fight. I didn't tell Brendan. I didn't tell anybody else because I thought if I say something, they'll talk me out of it. And so I thought, that's me done after this fight. So it was the last day, last sparring session. I was sparring and Brendan said, right, Johnny, get out of the ring, you're done. I said, Brendan, just one more round. He said, you're done, get out of the ring. I said, come on, Brendan, one more round. I'm flying. I'm thinking, shit. Because to me, it was a chance to beat Enzo Macronelli on ITV, massive audience. The last time they saw me there was against Carlos de Leon in 1990. I wanted to see what I'd done, how much I'd changed. So I wanted this fight, I needed this fight. Sparring, switched from orthodox to southpaw. As I switched southpaw, I had a big snap, like a board snapping. Boom! I'm on the floor. I'm like looking down. There was no pain. I'm like, how'd I get down here? And I thought, did he hit me? And I didn't see the shot coming. And the sparring partner, big 6'6" heavyweight stud, he said, I didn't do shit. So I went to get up, and the bottom half of my leg wouldn't move. I'm like, bollocks. And so I could see a bump in my thigh, and Brendan said, you all right? I said, yeah, Brendan, it's just a bit of cramp. He said, oh, we'll take you to hospital. I went, no, I don't want to go to hospital, Brendan. I said, I'll be all right, I'll be back Monday. And Dominic came over, put his finger in where my knee should have been, and my kneecap had actually sprung into my thigh. That's what the bump was. And he said, look, we need to go to hospital. But in my head, that's when denial kicked in. And I said, no, I'm not going to hospital. If I go to hospital, they're going to pump me with drugs. That means I can't fight. I couldn't fight anyway. So that means I can't fight. Let me just wrap it up. I'll be all right on Monday. And I tried to get out. They couldn't get out. So they ended up phoning, getting an ambulance. Ambulance came, got me. The doctor, as soon as I got in there, he said, what's happened? I said, look, I'm fighting next week, doc. Wrap me up. We'll deal with it after the fight. He said, Mr. Nelson, your boxing career's over. You'll never fight again. I thought, I wanted to batter him, but I couldn't get off the bed. And it was the hardest thing ever. And even after the operation, and I'm still in my head thinking I'm going to come back from this. It took far too long. The injury was far too severe. At that stage in my career, a lot of injuries were occurring, so I couldn't afford to have so much time off. And I couldn't afford to have so much time off and then come back to fight at world level because there was too much pain. So that was it, and so I had to accept it. But in my head, I was going to retire anyway after that fight because it got to a stage where I actually didn't feel guilty not running in the morning. It'd be raining outside, and I think I'm staying in bed. Whereas before, I'd have never done that. So once I knew I was thinking like that, I thought, your days are numbered, Johnny. You're going to get beat by someone that shouldn't beat you because you're becoming complacent. And so I knew that was going to be my last fight anyway.
You overcome a lot of obstacles in your career. I mean, you look back at the start, 3 defeats in your first 3 pro fights. You know, and I've seen that documentary, and a lot of people were saying to Brendan, like, yeah, you know, 3 defeats in a row, and how did you sort of overcome like the doubters and the haters? You know, how did you pick yourself up from 3 defeats early on in your career and go and achieve what you did?
Yeah, so the problem is a lot of sportsmen and women, they're influenced far too easily by armchair champions, by people that don't know what they're talking about.
The sofa champions.
Yeah. Right now in this world, social media has created a nation of cowards where they say horrible things and tell you how rubbish you are over a keyboard and not say it to your face. They're not, test it that way. And so that for me, when I'd lost 3 fights on the trial, I had Brendan in my ear to say, Johnny, listen to me, you'll be all right. And so I didn't care what anybody else had to say. As long as he believed in me, I thought, why would he waste his time on me when he's produced people like Harold Graham, when this guy is steeped in knowledge and history of the sport. So he was the only person I listened to. He was the only person that could influence me. So 1,000 people could have told me one thing, it meant nothing. If Brendan had told me that thing, then I would have had an issue, and because he knew me inside out. So that was it. That's why I didn't. And it's mental strength. He built mental strength. You hear the bad things, what people are saying, but you've got to be strong enough to ignore it. That's what I did.
Fair play to you. You were down, but you weren't out.
Yes, listen. Unfortunately, fighters now think a loss is the end of their career. A loss is part of their development. And I'm not saying lose on purpose. What I'm saying is part of your development, not just your boxing development, mentally. How you deal with the flip of human nature. Anthony Joshua probably went through it the most when he lost to Andy Ruiz. He's going through it again now, losing to Alexander Usyk. It's very testing. It makes you, it grows you, and you'll not appreciate how much it's made him until another 5-10 years. And I think best thing that could have happened.
Okay, Johnny, thank you very much for opening up to us about your time at the Ingle Gym and obviously the injury that, well, call it a day with you. Pull you onto the, exactly, yeah, let's look at it as a positive thing. Right, just a few things I want to touch up on. Deontay Wilder, read a few rumours that he could be potentially looking to face Robert Helenius. I know Derek Chisora's called for that fight. Deontay Wilder, former world champion, he had over 10 world title defences. Doesn't really get the credit that he should be given because he is a former world champion. Is this a man that could still become a world champion in this current heavyweight division, Johnny?
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt, Tyson Fury's off the scene so far. Without a doubt, he could, and he's proved that. Look at his amateur and professional career, what he's done, what he's achieved. Now it's about how much he really wants it. He's a very, very wealthy man. He realistically knows there's somebody out there that can beat him. That can make a massive difference to a man, knowing that you are not the toughest man in the world. Because that's the mentality you've got to get yourself in. When you're fighting in the division, you've got to think, I'm the best man at my weight in the world, and believe it. And some guys can kid themselves and get away with it, but in boxing, you've got to be that stupid to think that. And Deontay Wilder knows he isn't. And so it's not in his DNA to be able to carry on, knowing there's someone that's had his number 3 times over and getting smashed the way he did. Some fighters can do that. And it's not a bad thing. What I'm saying is, the kind of man he is, I don't think it's in his DNA. So when he's talking about fighting, he's romanticising the idea, but you'll think, you know what? We'll just wait and see. Let's just wait and see.
Derek Chisora is the type of guy that would fight King Kong, Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, Thor, Captain America all in one if he could. But yeah, he's mentioned about a fight with Deontay Wilder. We saw Derek's fight against Kubrat Pulev a few weeks ago. judging on that performance, is a fight with Deontay Wilder something he should be looked to entertaining right now? Or do you think maybe sort of an opponent that's ranked inside perhaps the top 15 to top 10?
Depends on what his aspirations are, what he wants to do. He wants to earn as much money as possible. I'm assuming that's what it is. And so he's going to go where the big money fights are. And I understand where he's coming from, but in reality, and I've seen it many times, fights come and go. And after their career is over, people don't give a damn where you are, what you're doing. And I think Derek needs to be safe from himself. And yeah, he can fight again, but getting in with Deontay Wilder, you know, big money, but it's career finishing. I won't do it. And I like Derek, he's a nice guy, he's a good man, and he loves to fight, that's what he does. But I'm thinking about your life afterwards. I've been retired a long time now, so therefore I know that what's going to happen in years to come when he's finished boxing. And my advice is, as a friend, don't do it, man. Just don't do it.
Jake Paul is set to take on Naseem Rahman Jr. In the next few coming weeks. It was originally meant to be Tommy Fury, but due to reasons of Tommy not being able to enter the US, that's now been cancelled for a second time. Okay, so he's got reasons as to why he can't enter the US, nothing we could do about that. But has this sort of damaged Tommy Fury's reputation?
Tommy Fury's he's going to be forever explaining himself to everybody. So it's hard for Tommy because Jake Paul's a great publicist. He's got the platform. He's got more ears and eyes looking at what he does and hearing what he says. So unfortunately, he's on the back foot in regards to what Tommy Fury is saying, and he's going to be forever explaining himself. So yeah, he's on the back foot. He's got to somehow redeem himself, and I don't know how he's going to do that.
Sky Sports progressing well. It's been a good year. Apparently, rumours are that we're set for a rematch between Jack Catterall and Josh Taylor in Glasgow, I believe in October, November. Is that going to be the same outcome? Not the decision of the actual result, but can you see Josh Taylor putting in a better performance and being more convincing? And Johnny, before you answer that question, can you see similarities to Froch Groves 1 in this first fight going into his second fight?
Exactly, my point exactly. Jack Catterall, nice guy. I think he struck while the iron was hot. I feel for him because that opportunity will never come again, because Taylor now knows what to expect and he'll be training to redeem himself and fix that and doing it right for him. He overlooked Jack Catterall. Unfortunately, I think the result will probably be for Jack Catterall. I think the result will probably be the same, but on this occasion it will be authentic. I think Taylor will authentically win because Jack Catterall chose the right tactics, hijacked him, did the right thing, and that's what he and Jamie Moore, they were smart about what they did, and now Taylor knows what to expect.
One final one before I let you go, Johnny. According to reports, the undisputed clash in the 147 division between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford could potentially be set for November. Confident it happens, and what are you predicting for when it does happen?
I heard that probably about a month ago. I thought it was going to be October actually. So that fight's going to happen. That's a wicked fight, man.
Is that fight of the year?
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, without a doubt. I thought it'd be Taylor and I thought it'd be Marshall and Clarissa Shields, but you know what? You never know. AJ might be. You know, never know how that fight might turn out. But Spence and Crawford, what a fight! You know what? Don't ask me to put my money down on somebody because I can't. I have no idea. Wicked fight though.
I know I said one final one, but you just mentioned Marshall and Shields, so I know you work for Sky. I know Sky are going to be hosting that fight. Yeah, not far away from that. What's your predictions? Who wins that one, and does it live up to Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano?
It does live up to it. I think Savannah Marshall wins. I think it's a hell of a fight. I think there'll be passion, there'll be brutality, there'll be points taken off, but it's going to be a wicked fight.
Johnny Nelson, a pleasure as always. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for talking to Life.
Bless. Anytime.
Quick meeting on the stage.
That's all good.
Very good.